Namaste, Vitruvians. It's time for another spotlight. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everybody, or good evening, good day. It's morning over here,
Yeah,
but good to
back,
see everybody.
yeah, back to back flashlight and spotlight. It kind of is it's a little weird this week, but I'm excited to always do this on Fridays, and I am also very excited that I'm almost like 99% back to normal. So um, it's back to working 18 hours a day now. So I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
you sound so much better.
Yes, yes, yes.
Your
So
energy in the past was just tapped, I think, and plus the travel and the jet lag and bronchitis, and it's good to have you back.
it's good to
Yeah, it's
be.
crazy in California right now.
Yeah, and it's not that far from where you are, and I feel my heart goes out to all the people that it's devastating. Your whole life destroyed.
Yeah, it's a mess. There's a lot of the one person you would not want to be today is Gavin Newsom, Governor Gavin
Yeah,
Newsom.
yeah,
So he's got his hands full. The infrastructure is not good. They cut the fire department funding. They cut forest management. There's just so many holes in how this could have been prevented, and it's a really serious issue because it's about 40. I'm south about maybe 40 minutes, somewhere around there. So I'm not directly impacted. There's no smoke down in South Orange County, but in Los Angeles, it's impacting all of the top, valued homes, in Malibu, Pacific Palisades, Studio City, Beverly Hills, Pasadena. These are all really, really high valued mansions, pretty much. And 2 months ago, the insurance companies pulled out a lot. It's very difficult to get homeowners insurance in California right now through any big provider.
yeah,
They're just overly leveraged and it's a mess. So hopefully they'll get some containment over the next few days.
yeah, yeah. But it's I can't imagine like what would life be if your whole home was just gone. You know, like
Yeah.
uh, it's yeah,
And you don't have insurance.
and you don't have insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's going to be wild.
hopefully these are the few instances where government can step in and solve the problem. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, all right, so I think we can get going. Yesterday we did a flashlight. We talked a lot about verse. So today's spotlight is sort of an abbreviated one. We're going to cover some of the topics, but mostly it's all about verse still today, because today is verse day. So let's get going here. I'm going to share my screen and we can get going. Uh, all right, welcome everyone to another edition of the Vitruveo Spotlight. This is season 6, episode 2. It's January the 10th, 2025. We're already on the second spotlight of the year. So I'm Nick Kalyani, founder and CEO of Vitruveo, and with me is Mike Purdy, COO. And together on the spotlight, we review the events of the past week and also tell you what's coming up and interesting and important in the next week. So let's start with some general updates. A very small update this time with the boosters. The first boosting is completed. That means that every booster, all 10,200 of them, are now boosted, used up, and they should be in people's wallets as artwork. So that's one update. The other update is we launched the Verse projector. So this is live now on Scope. You can go check it out, play with it, and do what if scenarios. If you would like more details, please check our YouTube channel. The flashlight yesterday, we covered this in great detail, and I don't want to duplicate that effort here. But it's a pretty good way to approximate what your future income might be based on different scenarios for verse, where you have more optimistic scenarios, you have more pessimistic scenarios. you can run those numbers and figure it out. So we'll get back to talking about verse here in a little bit, but just a couple more topics of interest that I want to go over, and that is in the domain of exhibit. So first and foremost, you're going to see a change in Exhibit Studio, and that is with the claim function. That you're going to see another slider at the bottom there, which is going to allow you to go directly to stake for 3 years at 0% APR and get verse. This is from testnet, so it's a large amount of Vitru, etc. But it's just test; it's not actual Vitru from developers. Um, Account, but it may already be live. The Team Brazil is working on it, deploying it right now. So the claim dialog may be live, but it may not yet be activated. So that's one really interesting feature. And as we had promised before, we are looking to to activate and ship a number of features that were in development during the month of December. And the first one to go live will be True Level. So I'm very pleased to report that as of next week, we will begin alpha testing. What that means is we are going to invite a few select creators and have them go through the process and make sure that everything works. Right now, we are waiting for our um, Synapse uh, configuration to be upgraded to production. So we have been in what's called a sandbox all this time, where we've been testing, and now we've moved to production. So as soon as they green light it, we will begin our testing. And once we are confident that it's all working, we'll roll it out to everybody, and everyone can go do their KYC. We are probably going to schedule a space for this because it is something new, something interesting, and there'll be lots of questions, I'm sure. So we'll go over it in detail, and we'll also release some help information so people will be able to do it easily. But basically, it comes down to two components. There are three components actually. There is your studio information, your avatar, your social media connection, etc. That's one. The second thing is a profile link. So we want to make sure that creators start having a real profile. Most people have, like Linktree, etc. That's not a profile. That's just a link tree. We don't want that. We want buyers, patrons who come to an artist to see a genuine, a true attempt by the creator to create a profile. And what does that mean? Well, you can look at sites like LinkedIn as an example. I'm not saying you copy them, but if you think about a profile, it should talk about you, who you are, what your credentials are, what your professional accomplishments are, not just a series of links. So we're gonna start off with keeping the profile link rules for a KYC a little loose, but we are going to tighten them up very quickly because we really want to create a really professional environment for patrons to explore who the creator is, etc. This profile is going to become more and more important because we surface it in all our apps. So you've probably seen it in surface in art cards. We're going to introduce print on demand. Your profile is going to show up there, and you don't want it to be an embarrassing page of just links, really, because that does not showcase you in the best light. It showcases some links. So what you want is to come up with one link that really is your profile and talks about you and celebrates you, and have that. And then finally, the actual KYC, which is multiple things: your liveness, your address, your phone, things like that. And so we are going to get to so a really sort of professional environment where we can identify creators, the genuine creators from the copycats and etc., who will likely not go through this, and add a level of trust. That's really exciting. So I'm happy to answer some questions about this later. But like I said, we're going to go through alpha first, and so we are at least about a week to 10 days away from when this becomes mainstream with access to everybody. So that's some news there about Exhibit. The other news that is really big is we are focused very much on print on demand, and we're going to introduce not one but actually multiple print licenses. So we are still working through the architecture of that. And I had intended to kind of share some of that information today, but I feel it's a little premature. We haven't really made a lot of decisions yet. So expect to see a flashlight next week that focuses on the print on demand feature, because it is a highlight of what we are building, and we want to make sure that it's architected correctly. One of the key constraints for us is we want to make sure that the stores feature that we are also rolling out this month um, makes it very easy for marketplaces to have access to that print feature also. So as a result, we have to really think through this in a deep and broad way to make sure that it works really well. The other aspect of it that's kind of business centric, that's a big impact from the print, is we are going to enable credit cards, which is a whole new layer of complexity, because not only do we have to actually get the credit card integration done, but we also have to make sure that the flow of funds works correctly. There's flow of funds going to the service provider, there's flow of funds going to the artists, and so on and so forth. So we have to do all that. And so far we've been in the realm of crypto, and now we are going into the realm of credit cards plus crypto. So it's a new experience. So we want to build it right, and we want to build it flexible. So expect to see a flashlight later this week, or sorry, later next week, on print on demand. All right, moving on. Moving on. Let's see here. Next is update on community projects. Just a reminder, actually, that we are going to be having the Sabong Evolution team. We are going to join them for a Discord tomorrow. Yeah, that's tomorrow at 11 a.m. I guess it's Pacific time. So look forward to that. And I think those are the key updates we have. Now we'll talk a little bit about Verse. So the Verse contract is ready to go. We are working on the front end right now, which we will surface in scope. So I fully expect that we will be deployed here by mid-afternoon Pacific time. So what we're going to do is we'll make sure it's working, test it all out, etc., and post a minor update. I think, what's it? 3 p.m. Pacific is what? 11 p.m. UTC is, I think, if my math is right. Yeah, approximately that time is when we intend to, but don't hold us to it. We wanted to give you some guidance on approximately when, but really the testing is going to drive exactly when it's going to be available. So with that said, let's see. We wanted. I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to repeat all the information that we presented in the flashlight yesterday about Verse. But what I did want to do is review once again what you're going to see. What are the options that are going to be available for you in scope once we go to that. So let's just jump right to that. So today is our community activation, and what we are going to go through is give you essentially three options, if you will. So the first option is you'll be able to stake Vitru directly from your wallet in scope. That is the what I believe will be the normal option. Most people will take that option. That's a stake that's for 3 years at a 0% APR. The next thing you'll be able to do is for creators in particular, and I showed you the screen mock-up here earlier, which will be live in studio. You'll be able to stake Vitru directly from your vault, and it's the same thing. It just connects. It's a shortcut from studio is what it is. um, the third option is you'll be able to swap Vitro directly. Now the Vitru stake is a one for one stake. What that means is you will be staking one Vitru, and you'll be getting one Verse unit in exchange. The It's a stake, so it just means your Vitru is parked in the staking contract for 3 years, and then you get it back. You are able to still collect your rebases, so that's a benefit. So I think I strongly encourage everyone to go with that option if you have the Vitru sitting in your wallet, because um, we don't expect a lot of price action right away on Vitru, because as Mike has very eloquently posted in Discord, we've got to get that liquidity up, etc. So it's great for us if the community can support us support the project by staking as much as possible and getting verse. So you benefit from keeping the rebases, you benefit from getting verse income, and you help out the community. And the next option is with Vitro. So one of the reasons, as Mike pointed out in Discord, we haven't rolled out yet the staking program in Vitro is that in order for staking to work, most people expect rewards, but we are running pretty low on inventory of Vitro, and so it's very hard for us to introduce a staking program with a high APR. If we did introduce one, it would be with a very low APR because we don't have the inventory for it. But with this measure here, as people swap their Vitro in, we will be able to amp up our inventory, and then we will be able to offer the staking for Vitro also. So the Vitro staking terms are 10 Vitro for one verse unit. If you happen to have Vitro sitting around in your wallet, please go for it. Get. I would encourage people to get as much verse as possible. If we've learned anything from Vibe, it's a constrained supply. In this case, we've decided to really make sure that anyone who was not able to get in on the Vibe is able to get in on verse, and so we've allocated a very decent sized amount of 5 million verse for the community. So between the Vitru in wallets and the Vitro, uh, we should be able to you should be able to get a large chunk of that, if not all of it. So hopefully people will take action and recognize that this is a once it's a one-time opportunity for the community. We are not going to make the swapping and staking option available again. From here on moving forward, the verse units will only be available to investors. So that's that. Mike, you want to jump in here and address some of the Vitru staking issues?
Yeah, so I covered a few posts on this morning, and I think I touched on it last night. Um, the biggest thing for us is really uh, going after as much supply as we can to reduce it, so that there's parity between the liquidity and the supply. If we have too much supply, it turns into a hyperinflationary token, just because there's no liquidity that's backing that particular coin. So in preparation of our list, it was really good for us to do some preliminary marketing on the DEX, really to see what the KPIs come back at. And what we were finding is we were wash trading for so long, not wash trading, flat trading for so long, in that it just really revealed that we have a supply issue. So by lowering that supply, it's really going to encourage or make our marketing that much more effective. And you guys can review the post that I did, earlier on today, because I kind of go into it in detail. The good thing about this is we feel that the film vertical is going to be. We feel that there's going to get traction very quickly. The reason being is that there is not adequate funding for films, and so whether you have the screen writers, you have the production companies, you have directors. It's a very small circle. I'm in California, and as I told you guys before, I do have connections in the film industry, and all of them are desperate for funding. So the studios really have kind of a mafia style where they control everything, and they really hold everybody. Um, it's just kind of a monopoly, to be honest with you. And you have this massive divide, and this massive vacuum for funding. The studios maintain all the control. So if we're seeing a lot of shifts coming into the economy right now. We see podcasting that's taking away attention from mainstream news. Mainstream news has become so political and tribal that podcasts like Joe Rogan podcasts, where we're finally getting back to authentic and real conversations, and hearing each other, which is such an amazing thing. This ties into what we're also seeing in business, is a lot of the film companies are getting eaten up by, let's say, Amazon, Netflix. They're producing their own content so that they don't have to pay licensing fees. And Netflix almost didn't make it because of all the licensing deals that they were paying out. So we're seeing a shift where there's a lot more independent production companies that are coming up, and the business is changing. We saw this also in the past with music. Whenever the music labels were controlling so much of the business, and then all of a sudden, with the advent of technology, with the advent of the internet, people started producing their own music and releasing it, and so we are seeing a shift, which is amazing. It creates a huge opportunity. So we don't. There's not going to be a short supply of film projects. I think vetting will be the one of the challenging parts, and I think we're going to be a little more conservative on which projects we take in. We will be marketing to screen, like let's say the Screen Actors Guild, certain groups there, production companies, as well as director guild, and then that way we can make ourselves known. And then once whoever has the money, that's where they go to. So that's an easy sale. The great thing about doing that is once we have a certain amount of production or projects that are on board, it's very easy to go after VC capital because we can say we have this film, this film, this film. Here are the actors. Here's the directors. Here's the production companies. We have, let's say, the contract in order to produce funding for that film. Here is the data that we have from the production companies in terms of fail rate, success rate, that sort of thing. All the data is there, and we can then pre-sale and really boost up liquidity within this project very quickly. So that's the exciting part of it. I made the analogy of Tesla. Tesla, is one of the few. They may even be the first car company that I know that just say reserve your car for $100. This was a very tactical thing that Elon did because now he has all of the pre-orders in. So he knows exactly how many pre-orders, how many commitments to purchase that vehicle. And then he can go to the banks, secure funding for all of that, scale his production, do production timelines. Everything is based on those pre-orders. So I see ourselves following the same model, that we will go after the projects, get as much projects as we can on board, with names behind them. And then whether it's the, certain industry directors that are behind them, industry talent, in terms of actors, actresses that are behind them, we'll go after the low hanging fruit. And then at that point, with that content, then we can go to the VCs and say, hey, here's what we have. Here's the data that we have, and here's the opportunity. And I feel like it's going to ramp up pretty quickly. Once we get these projects funded, it's going to cause a surge of projects that are just going to organically come to us through referrals and that sort of thing. So I see this taking off pretty quickly. I'm personally excited about it. I'm going to, I've obviously got Vitruveo Holdings as well as Vitruveo Holdings, and I'm going to do my personal staking. But I think we have a very short window in order to tackle this, which is really exciting. Yeah. Sorry, Nick, that was a long-winded.
No,
I'm not known for my brevity.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's important to make sure that everyone understands what we are getting into here and why it's important. And I just feel like it's good for people to understand what our verticals are and how we are moving forward on them. So we've got exhibit going. We are all our investment in terms of development and laying the rails is going to start paying off now as we start getting into more mainstream applications. We had a really good and interesting strategic conversation with JB Tech, our team Brazil, the founders there, and we're talking about how we are going to get the streaming aspect of it launched with a partner. So that's kind of what we are working on now. Is we want to launch with a partner, and I'm really excited about that because for a year now I have been craving having streaming from exhibit on the walls of my home now, and Recently on TikTok, I've been seeing a lot of videos of high res adhesive displays that go on windows and glass doors, and I really want to experiment with them also, because what would it would be so cool to basically get this sticker, right? You put it anywhere on any glass surface, and now you've got yourself a screen with artwork. So that's unheard of. No one's done that, and I'm very interested in pursuing that also. And so we keep moving forward with exhibit. We keep introducing more licenses, and start having more artists understand our business model. There are still, I think, a lot of people who are on exhibit who are whose mind is focused on the, oh, I made an artwork, I have to sell the artwork, and then I have to make the next artwork. And we need to uh, that scene from Matrix comes to mind. Free your mind, Neo. It's that one, where Morpheus tells him when he's doing the kung fu, free your mind. You got to get out of that mode, guys. So, but we have to tangibly show people how that works. And now getting into the movies, it's exciting, and I can see behind the scenes how we are laying the groundwork to move blocks forward with Vortex, which is going to take a little bit of time, but really, I think having the movies thing first is actually helpful for the gaming, because it becomes a pathway where any successful game can then we can make a movie project out of it. So really, really excited about that. All right, so uh, to sum it up, Verse minting will be available later today, approximately 3 p.m. But don't hold me to that, please, because we want to make sure we are tested and it's working and all of that. But you will see a minor update, and that's when we'll officially start the minting, and we'll just go from there. We'll be available, in Discord to answer any questions, etc. But we'll have that going. And right now, I just want to get back to work and get that done. So what we'll do is we'll answer some of your questions if there are any here, and then we'll wrap it up. So this is a short spotlight because we already did a long flashlight yesterday and covered a lot of information. So let's see, Mike, if you spot any questions are that we can take on here. Let's do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to handle this on this call, but some of the validators were asking about the VIP distributions and that sort of thing. I thought we could deal with that within the validator chat room, but I think the overwhelming question was, about can we do a similar vault or something like that where they can auto stake into Verse, the VIP. So I don't know if you want to tackle that now or if you want to discuss
Yes.
that.
So right now we have two types of vaults. We have a creator vault, which is where all the creator sales go in. We also have a general vault. That's where all curator sales go in. We don't expect a curator to have a studio account necessarily. All we need is from them is an email address. So we are going to introduce a third kind of vault, which is your validator vault. And we're going to make it possible for validators to go to their vault and do some of the similar things that creators would do. In other words, you can stake directly, and also your funds would be safe, so you can claim your VIP from there versus having it airdropped to you. And then we'll add some other functionality too. But we talked about it last week, and I think a validator vault is the way to go. So you will be able to do that also. It does take a little bit of time to get that built out and shipped. So can't commit to a date yet, but we'll expedite as much as possible.
Yeah. Somebody is asking about marketing. We've covered this a lot in Discord. From a strategic standpoint, we have to explain this because new people will come back in and ask the same question, and they're always wanting to check in. And we understand this is part of the problem with Discord is there's not a lot of archival. You have an archive, but you have to kind of go through pages and pages and pages to find relevant information. Go ahead and search my name under the in Discord, and then I've covered the marketing. I don't know, maybe on 10 different occasions. So we go into pretty big detail what our marketing plan is. We have to deal with the supply, is the bottom line first, because if a dollar comes in, it gets liquidated. So the price trades flat. So we're going to waste so much money on marketing right now until we deal with the supply first. That was kind of what we came back with the KPIs from our marketing spend that we did initially, around January 1st and December, somewhere around there, when we started doing marketing. But I'm happy to do it again. I'm happy to explain it, because I do know that there's limitations within Discord and trying to access some of these conversations. But definitely do some research. I've gone into pretty specific detail on the marketing plan. Once we get through this round of staking into Verse, we'll then do another marketing test probably next week, and then we can kind of track the price and that sort of thing and see how that's going. But yeah, we don't want to trade flat after list. And so if the supply doesn't have liquidity attached to it, we're going to trade flat. So the quicker we can cut down on supply, raise liquidity, kind of do that balance, that's when marketing is effective in crypto. Otherwise, you just end up wasting money. So we do have a game plan for that, and Verse is kind of the last step. We also solved a lot of the other problems with the perks, with the locked Vitru coins, pausing that. Everything that we're doing is focused on setting us up for a successful list. So nothing is punitive. It's all for the success of the blockchain. And then we can kind of control the supply through slow releases as we see liquidity growing and price increasing. So that's kind of our game plan. But good question, nonetheless. You see anything else, Nick?
Yeah, I started a couple here. Okay. So one thing is, how is the blockchain update going, Nick? I'm pleased to say that we are targeting Sunday for submitting that into test. So that's our plan. So that's 2 days from now. That is the plan. And so after maybe a few days of testing, uh, we'll start rolling out the update. So that's good.
Yep.
This question keeps coming up. I've answered it, but
Mhm.
we'll keep answering it again. Folks, staking, you want to stake for something in return, right? APR, rewards, something, some benefit. Otherwise, why stake? Right now, we cannot give you any rewards with Vitro staking because we don't have enough inventory of Vitro. So our commitment is to have Vitro Vitro staking available this month. It's contingent largely on seeing how much Vitro people swap to get the Verse, so that we can increase our Vitro inventory, and then it'll be available for stake rewards. Keep in mind that Vitro is a fixed supply. It's 50 million, and that's it. So almost all of that is out right now in wallets. So we cannot provide an APR. So a Vitro staking option would be unattractive, let's just say, for most people. So in order to make it attractive, we have to have inventory of Vitro to be able to give you that APR. And so probably next week, we'll take a look at how much Vitro we've managed to get back from this swap for Verse. And then we'll put that into a staking program and make it available back again to you. All right. So that's the news on that. Let's see. Anything else?
I don't see anything else. If you guys have any questions about Verse, now's the time to let us know, and then we can kind of answer those questions.
Yeah.
In terms of
All
the
right.
branding, we will have the name picked out. We will have the brand development done by next Friday. So that's going to be exciting just to see all of that. And we may, I don't know, Nick, we may be able to have some answers in terms of the first couple of projects. So
Yes.
we'll talk with Jason about that and see if we can get some traction on that.
Yep. Can I send my Booster NFT art to a different wallet? Yes, you can do whatever you wish with it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think So this is funny. Nothing to add. You're doing. Thank you. My weekly Mike shirt watch. This week I see you got the light blue long sleeve instead of short sleeve.
That's right.
Yeah,
Now that you guys are watching, I'm gonna come up with something cool next Friday.
yeah. Someone had asked earlier. I can't find that comment anymore about can you do both Vitru and Vitro? Yes, you can not only do as much Vitru as you want, stake, swap as much Vitro as you want. You can do it again and again and again. What's going to happen is the first time you stake or swap, you're going to get a verse NFT dropped into your wallet. Every wallet has a limit of one verse NFT. So, for example, you know, let's say that there are people in our audience who are both sort of community members and investors, and also maybe in the movie community, and you participate in some project. Well, you're going to have a different wallet then, because right now you're going to have an eternal verse NFT in your wallet, and that's it. You cannot have another verse NFT in your wallet, so you'll need a different one if you're going to get a project based elastic one later. But what happens is, as you continue to stake and swap again, there is an attribute in there called units, and you're going to see that increase as you get more and more units purchased. So it's one NFT which has the units in it. Now, uh, we learned from some of the problems with Vibe, with denominations, etc. It caused a lot of problems because some people have lots and lots of Vibe in their account, and it gets a little hard to manage. So with this one NFT, and having units associated with it, it becomes more manageable. Here's what you'll be able to do that is very interesting. Uh, if you have an eternal NFT in your wallet, and let's say you want to split the units, right? There is a function in the contract called transfer units. You can simply specify how many units you want and the other destination wallet, and that wallet may or may not have a verse NFT. It doesn't matter, but you can transfer some of your units to another wallet if you want. There are some rules. For example, you can transfer from Eternal to Eternal. You can transfer from Eternal to Elastic, but you cannot transfer from Elastic to Eternal, because that is a security vulnerability. Because what people will do in terms of abuse, and we are becoming more sensitive to those kind of things, is if you've got a project Elastic NFT, you might transfer the units to an Eternal and make them deal with them, saying, here, do my claim and then send my units back to me so you don't have to burn, etc. So we don't want people to circumvent the rules. So there are actually some rules baked in. So you can do Eternal to Eternal transfers, you can do Eternal to Elastic, but and you can do Elastic to Elastic, but you cannot do Elastic to Eternal. So yeah, so it's one NFT per wallet. You have your verse, and you'll be able to hit your claim button there and claim your rev share. So we'll be able to demo all of that next week, because a bunch of you will have the verse NFTs in your wallets at that time. All right.
We got a few more here.
Okay.
Is burning coins an option to reduce supply? Absolutely. You can send your coins to the contract address. No, the this is not going to necessarily work. I understand your thinking, but the issue isn't necessarily the, let's say, the total supply of 60 million. That's actually pretty low for a blockchain. Our max supply is 250 million. So after, let's say, 4 to 7 years of rebasing, however long it takes to reach max supply of 250 million, even 250 million is kind of low for a blockchain. I think Ethereum maybe has like 320 million or 340, something like that. So we have, or actually, no, I think I can't remember, but somewhere around there. It's actually a low supply. The issue that we have is the supply relative to the liquidity that we have is we don't have parity. Okay, so think of the US dollar. What is inflation? Inflation is just There's, whenever we left the gold standard, where gold was backing the US dollar, it was kind of, that was the financial backing. Whenever we departed that, the US dollar effectively became kind of a meme token where they can just print money and print money and print money, and you have inflation. It's kind of a hidden tax that the government has on the US currency. We see that with Venezuela. We see that with other countries that are the currency means nothing now. So in our situation, what we have is we have the supply that is in the hands of the community, the circulating supply being 9.6 million right now. There's not enough liquidity to cover that. Okay, so what happens is as new money comes in, we have so much supply that there's always going to be someone that's going to take that new money that comes in and exit and leave. And so what ends up happening is the price trades flat. By reducing the active supply, which is in wallets, and converting more of that supply to revenue sharing, that's where we start to see money coming in and then the price pumping and price growing because we have more supply that's tied up into rev share. So that's kind of the big picture. That's our recovery plan or our plan to grow and scale. So burning, we can't necessarily, burn tokens that are in wallets. That would be highly, I don't even think that's possible. Yeah, we could burn from the treasury or something like that, but that doesn't fix the issue. The issue is the active supply, which is in the wallets of the community. Obviously, we got to this point because development took a little bit longer. Our vesting period started to end. Vesting, people started to claim their vesting. Now it's in the hands of their wallets. That's kind of the big problem. I wrote a post on this. If Vibe was a concept from the beginning, we would have just converted everybody to Vibe right from the beginning to rev share. And rather than issue coins, we would have just issued Vibe tokens from the beginning. But obviously, innovation comes through problem solving, and Vibe was not a concept back then, and it's not even a common solution really for token allocations is rev share. This is something that's actually pretty innovative, that Nick came up with in terms of to solve the supply issue that we have. So that's really the game plan, guys. It doesn't matter if you have 100,000 or 500,000 in your wallet of Vitru. If we can't sustain the price or grow the price, all those tokens mean nothing. So there's no point in holding them in your wallet. Some people are expecting that price is just going to pump right after list. Mathematically, it would take at least $2 million of new money, somewhere in there, in order for us to see maybe like 1 to 2 million, depending upon trading and how many people sell and that sort of thing. But if people are kind of stacking up their wallets for Vitro, hoping for a price pump, we're not going to see that with this much active supply, because what's going to happen is that supply is just going to, change hands and the price is going to trade flat. So the best thing for the chain is for us to find creative ways in order to generate more sustainable income for our community by converting that active supply into revenue sharing. And, Nick's come up with some really pretty smart ways in order to kind of create those. And we've done that through creating verticals. So in essence, that's kind of the goal, and that's the plan that we're going after. That'll give us the best chance to have a successful list, having a lower active supply, and then we can ramp up marketing. So that is our plan, and I think it's a great plan, considering the history that we've all been through. So I think there's a couple of other questions, Nick.
Yeah, I start a few.
Okay. When does the community activation end?
It ends. Excuse me. It ends when we hit the 5 million cap, or we start the public a launch. We are going to have a launch pad where we start raising the public capital for this. So I had that slide up here. Let me pull that back up. Here we go. So we're going to raise 12.5 million dollars, and the basically when we activate that launch pad, the community activation ends, or 5 million, whichever comes first, is the answer to that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And can we transfer Verse NFTs to a cold wallet?
yes, cold, warm, lukewarm, tepid, whichever wallet you have, you can transfer it there, and it's fine.
Okay. Interesting question. Can we make our own films? Yes, absolutely. The one thing I would recommend is one of our criteria is that you have seed capital. So if you can produce seed capital, and we're in development of the vetting process of the projects. So we'll be working with Jason on all the different ways that we're going to be vetting projects. We're going to be pretty picky in the beginning, but because we want to do alpha testing on existing films, and then we can move into beta. But sure, why not?
Yeah, just to elaborate on that a little bit, just remember that our model for funding film projects is that someone approaches us with a project. They will have tools where they can basically create a profile page, etc., on our website, and so on and so forth. Once they do that, once they have a viable team, they have a viable script, etc., the first requirement is that they do a friends and family round, and our threshold for that is $200,000. So if you have a project that can that's initially, at least, later on we'll lower that limit once we have more capital to deploy. But initially, we'll look at projects that can raise 200K from friends and family, because for us that means that that is a viable mainstream cinema project. So if you can do that, then it goes through our process of AI vetting. We are going to build a whole AI engine that will analyze all of history, all of IMDb history of movies, of actors, of scripts, of box office revenues, of merchandise revenues, etc. And based upon that, we'll take the input of the film that we are looking at and determine what the success threshold of that's going to be. And we fully intend to make that a product that can be licensed by other studios, etc. Also, if you want to be able to look at a script and just put it through our engine, and it'll spit out, yeah, what is the potential success factor of this, so we'll do that, and based upon that we'll fund the project. So our goal is to change the failure rate. As you might see in the calculator right now, on scope, the failure rate, let me just refresh so I come up with the default values here. So we put a failure rate of 25% and a break-even rate of 28%. So what that means is approximately 50%, half the projects will go nowhere in terms of profit, right? So what we want to do is reduce these numbers, and really increase the moderate number as much as possible. We don't think we can do much in the blockbuster area because that's really rare. So our sweet spot is going to be on increasing the moderate successes, which is going to drive a lot of the revenue. So volume, so scale up the volume, scale up the number of projects through automation, and try and get a lot of moderate hits. Because these days, it doesn't have to be a big cinematic success in the theaters, etc. It could go straight to streaming and be quite successful, or and get significant revenue also from merchandising and things like that. So we'll focus on that, and that's kind of going to be the sweet spot for us. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not going to be hard to find movie projects, guys. We're not going after the hobbyist or the indie film festivals per se. That's not really who we're going after. There's about 40,000 film production companies in the United States that are established film production companies that are all looking for funding for their projects. About maybe 17,000 of those 40,000 are active, and all of these production companies have established data on their studios, so or their production companies. So we know what their box office results are. So we have all of that data. It's all public, which is a great thing. Because obviously as the movie titles get released, all of that data is public. So it's very easy to search, this production company, how many movies they've done, what is their domestic box office, production numbers, and then what is their global box office. All of that stuff is public. So our plan is really to cherry pick in the beginning um, some really good projects, build a pool, and then market that pool to VCs. And we feel that if we can negotiate those pools, right on the onset, we have a very, very good chance of getting the total funding that we need, which is, I think the target's what, 15 million. Nick,
Well, I'm
what
sorry,
was
what?
the total VC funds that we're looking for is like 15 million, something like
12 and
that.
a half. Yeah.
12 and a half. Okay. So because we are marketing VCs, established businesses with established track records and projects that are in-house, we feel that it's kind of a no-brainer because all the data is there. They're not necessarily taking a risk on a pool as they would on any one specific project, if that makes sense. So that's taking a diversified approach to the VCs, I think, is a no-brainer. And yeah, it's really cool. I really like what we've done, and I like how this is unfolding. So definitely exciting.
Yeah. I see some more questions came on that are kind of relevant. So I think we can take those on.
What is
Um,
the supply versus 50 million?
yeah. Let me
That's
let
the
me
total
pull
supply.
let me pull up that slide. Where is it? What? There we go. So um, yeah. So we have initially a fixed supply of 50 million, and then it starts growing in terms and becomes inflationary and deflationary at the same time. So all the project verse that they're going to get, and it's very important. I see this confusion all the time in Discord comments. I want to make it very clear. Just because we fund a project doesn't mean they get verse tokens. They get verse tokens after the project has proven to be moderately successful or a blockbuster. What happens is then they pay us back, we get money back, and that's when we issue them verse tokens. So if a project is failing or just breaks even and doesn't pay us back, they don't get any verse tokens. So what we have is the creators associated with the projects that essentially paid us back that are able to get a long-term revenue. But yeah, so the supply will grow. We have in the calculator essentially worked out approximately 100,000 verse units per project, but that's actually going to be variable. But for the purpose of the projector, it's good. It's not going to scale up by huge amounts. It's going to take a significant. It's going to take like 100 projects to add like 10 million tokens in there. And then remember, some of those folks there will be claiming their rev share, and as a result, they will be burning their verse units. So 50 is the baseline, and it's going to grow and shrink above that over time.
Yeah. Why can't we stake Vitro? Because of the supply issue. We're trying to recapture the supply for Vitro so we actually have some. Then we can offer staking protocols or,
Yeah, but
or
that's a
staking
genius
options.
idea. I really like
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Because we are offering that for Vitru, right? So if people are okay with not having any APR, why not have that? So that's a great idea.
The only
Definitely
the only
something.
problem, Nick, is that if we're low on supply, it would be better to try to recapture some of that
Yeah,
supply, grow it, and then maybe if we feel like we've gotten some supply back, then release or open up, let's say
open up
zero
that
APR.
option. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Um, is there an option to unstake non-vibe Vitru and restake to get verse?
So
Non-vibe Vitru.
on some of these feature requests, we have to take the approach of ROI, return on investment, because of the development effort needed to introduce a complex feature like that. So yes, the answer is yes, we could do this and lots of other things, but it becomes a question of where do we spend our time, right? So we've got very small team. I mean, there's me, Mike, there's Age, and on the support end, there's Pam and Doc, and on the dev team, there's a few members there. That's it. We don't have a huge army of engineers here, and pretty much I'm doing all the Web3 stuff that you're seeing. So I have to then make a choice: do I work on this, or do I work on something more important like the protocol, etc.? And it becomes a question of ROI. How many people are going to actually use that feature? Where does it justify spending a day or two working on it? So that's really our constraint. So for most of these things that are great feature ideas, but will apply to only a small number of people, we're going to probably push back and say no, we cannot do that. So saying no is starting to become more and more important for us because we have finite time, finite resources.
Mhm. So the question is how does this benefit new investors? Verse.
Yeah.
So
So
you and I talked a little bit about that,
yeah,
right?
Mike, you can go ahead and answer that one. Yeah.
Well, obviously the idea for, let's say, VCs or new investors is how to generate a modest return. We're not promising returns of 3,000 a year percent or anything like that, like a meme token. This is a real business and a real business model. So we're looking for handsome to modest returns through diversification in the movie industry. And essentially, Vitruveo, our film vertical, is really becoming a studio. That's really what it is. We will be funding the projects. We will then expand the product to do licensing agreements, to do merchandise, to do some of these other things. But the first step is going to be crowdsource funding in a sense, using Web3 technology, so that there's trust, transparency on the blockchain. Um, so we're seeing a hybrid of Web2, Web3 coming together with a real business. So there is inherent real utility behind it, because it's a real business. It's not a meme token. It's we're going to see more and more of this Web3 going into real business. Print on demand is another example of that. So we're really trying to form bridges between Web2, Web3, Web2 front end, Web3 back end. And in doing that, we provide a lot of just utility towards the project. So there is going to be a significant benefit for those to invest in films without the risk of investing in any one particular project. Studios, they have a lot of risk because they invest in one particular film, and they want to know who the director is. They want to know who wrote the screenwriter, the script. They want to know who the actors are, and then they can mitigate risk by the more popular team that they have. That mitigates their risk. Um, and then they can determine and work through the budget and that sort of thing. Our approach is a little bit different, where yes, in our curation, where we're handpicking, or a selection process and our vetting process where we're choosing films, we will have a dedicated team that will handle that is experienced in the industry. And then that way we can hand select certain projects that are based on the same criteria that the studios use. The difference is that we're mitigating risk by investing in a pool of films rather than just one particular film. So that's one of the advantages of going with our platform over, let's say, traditional crowdsource funding models, which most film crowdsource funding models are just one film. So when they try to raise capital, it's just, hey, here's my project, here's my film, do you want to invest? And that's much more difficult as opposed to a pool of films. And then we can then just display the stats on our historical averages based on fail rate, based on, and come to a perverse income average based on a 12-month period. It's actually very easy to do that, where there's much more risk in any one film. So it's a great question. And we put a lot of thought into it, and that's kind of our response to that.
Yep. Mm.
Uh,
There's a couple
AI
more. Maybe.
generated films. Yeah, I think as AI grows, it's kind of a trip to think about that we will get to a stage where production costs go dramatically lower, where you can just upload a script um, into an AI protocol and literally have them generate the film. um, you would just have to upload all of the props, like what do the characters look like, what do the scenes look like, and then have the script, and then this engine pretty much builds the movie together, which is such a cool innovative concept. I think we're a little ways away from that looking great, um, but it's fun to think about. We're definitely going to see that coming out.
I also would like to add to the response. If you go and Google Ben Affleck's response on this, he's given a very eloquent answer to the future of AI in movies. It's kind of long, but worth a listen. So just look. I'm sure if you say Ben Affleck AI movies or something, it'll come up. I think there's one more, and then we are good. Is there an ETA for integrating the DEX with liftoff monster? Yes, the ETA is it. There is no ETA. So people have this notion that any token that will be added to the DEX automatically starts showing up, and really that's not how Pancake Swap feature works. If you go to the standard Pancake Swap, which is exactly what we are running Pancake Swap 1.0. Um, all tokens don't get automatically show up. Just the really popular ones do. So we'll have that similar model. That's what we have with our DEX right now, and we'll continue to have that where once a token reaches a certain threshold of popularity of activity, we will add that to the lookup list. But other than that, you have to know the contract address and add it yourself. That's going to be the model. There's not going to be a direct integration of any kind um, uh, with with uh, uh, with the DEX. Okay, I think that is good. Let's look at Gus's. Gus has a lot. So Gus, we don't know that yet. What are the key points that you are looking at to approve a movie? So these are things that we have to, move forward. We are actually looking at our alpha being with projects that are already active to learn from them. One of the things we do a lot of is don't try to guess on some of these things. Use actual data, live data, and experience, and learn, and then make decisions. So we found that that is a very good way to proceed and prevents us from, well, reduces our failure rate really. So with the initial projects, these are projects that are already funded and approved. We're going to go through them, go through the cycle, go through the tokenomics of it, the projects, how they are funded, how they are displayed on our website, etc., and learn. And so then put together a great team of industry veterans who will help drive the creation of our review engine, if you will, which, as I said, uses both statistics and AI in order to produce a result. So the combination of the human element plus the AI and statistics element will then create those rules to figure out how what projects we'll approve. So it's not a simple answer. It's a much more nuanced answer that's going to take us some time to develop, and it's unlikely that it's going to be a binary kind of set of requirements, because it's very subjective, right? And that's where the AI comes into the picture, where it can analyze the script, analyze which actors are there, analyze their history, and based upon that, figure out what the chances of success are going to be.
Yeah, I can speak to that too, Nick. The historically, the way studios assess their risk, and it's like, okay, we'll put up this money. All they want to know is the track record of the team. That's it. That's the primary thing that they look at. Is they look at who the production company is, they look at who the director is, who the screenwriter is, who are the actors that are involved in it, and then they look at the track records of the team. That's it. And then at that point, they can assess risk and determine a budget. Obviously, an A-list actor versus a C-list actor are going to have different budgets because more people go see the A actor. So every actor has their own following, and they determine the budget and historical revenue. Um, you have a Samuel Jackson, let's say. He's probably the most. Uh, he's probably in number one position for the top grossing actor of all time, which is amazing. And if you look at his pedigree, all of his films do over $100 million. So you're going to see higher budgets, higher success rates, that sort of thing with an A-list actor. However, in the C-list actor, you have lower budgets, let's say a total production cost of $1 million, let's say, but it doesn't take much to do a 10x, like a 10 million or 20 million is kind of a home run. And a lot of the income that's generated in the film business is in that tier. Everybody thinks of a blockbuster of, let's say, Pixar or Warner Brothers film or like a superhero movie or whatever. And yes, that's true. That is a blockbuster, but you have films that are being produced for 100,000, 250,000, and a C-list actor will come in, not require an upfront payment, but they want to make money on the back end in terms of their percentage of the share of the total box office revenue. And so that's how that film makes money. And whereas an A-list actor may not want anything upfront. All they want is a percentage of on the back end for merchandise and global sales, and they just make millions and millions and millions of dollars because that particular film does so much revenue. But hopefully that answers your question. But I think I see it that we're going to vet it the exact same way. We're going to look at the team, the track record, who's on the team, and make estimates based on that. So it's as Nick said, it's going to be on data.
Yeah, two last ones, and then we are done. So on site side, he was talking about the tokens that make it to the DEX, so we could have some charts. It's exactly the tokens I was talking about. Also, a token, anyone can add any token they want to the DEX. So we can't just be putting all those tokens and making them available. So as I said, it would have to be a token that reaches a certain threshold of performance before it gets visible, not just all tokens that make it to the DEX. Adding a token to the DEX is trivially simple. Anyone can do it in seconds.
Yeah, part of the issue that we do have though on our DEX, and I think I understand the point he's making, Nick, is obviously Liftoff Monster does have charts and that sort of thing on their DEX, but we don't. Once we import the token on our DEX, there's no charts or trading activity or anything like that. So they're probably looking for an upgrade on the DEX, either to 2.0, where we can implement charting and active trading, that sort of thing. The active trading won't be there, but the charts
even with the upgrade to the DEX, we would not have that, because those are external applications like DEX Tools and DEX Screener, etc., that provide that capability. So someone would have to build out an application like that for the DEX, even if we upgraded it. Our DEX right now is the only thing it does not have is the pancake swap sort of. If you look at 3.0 Uniswap or pancake swap, it converted from having LP tokens to having one NFT to represent that. That's it. Other than that, all the functionality is all there. There's also the granularity of the fees percentage. That's another feature, and there are some minor other features. But other than that, upgrading our DEX has very limited ROI in terms of these charts and all of that. That comes from having a third-party application.
Yeah. We can. Well, I think what we can do is we'll reach out to Yamap and see what sort of suggestions he has. He and I talked a while ago about launching a getting started guide for token creators in order for them to know how to scale a meme token. A lot of people are creating tokens out of thin air, but they have no marketing plan, no business, they don't have any plan for this thing. They're just launching a token saying, yeah, I want to be a millionaire and launch a token. But the reality is it takes a lot of effort to build a token, and you have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the community and the investors in that project. It's not just launching a token. So I think those of you that have launched tokens on Liftoff Monster really take a step back and as a project creator, as a developer, what are you going to do to create utility? What are you going to do to create marketing? How are you going to get things listed on DEX? You really have to have your stuff together, and have a plan, have a white paper, have a website, all of these things. So I want to encourage you to do the work and work the project, not just expecting money to show up. Crypto just doesn't work that way. Um,
All
so
right, last
hopefully,
one from Biz, and then we'll wrap it up here. When you transfer the eternal units to a new wallet, will those as well become eternal as well, or become elastic? It's parity. It is absolute parity. So when you send eternal ones to a wallet, when you transfer, we're talking about transfers here. They inherit the trait of whatever you're targeting. So if you send to a wallet that has an eternal or nothing, then it becomes eternal. If you send to a wallet that has elastic, then those eternal units become elastic units. So probably a good idea not to send eternal units um, to an account that has an elastic NFT already. Yeah. So some of this we'll explore in more detail once people have their hands on these, and we'll do some experimentation and show people how things work, and it'll become more clear. Maybe even next spotlight we'll do some of that. All right, folks, that is it. It is a wrap. Need to get going and actually get this thing launched here, so you can start minting your Verse tokens and units. Look for that later this afternoon. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining, all 480 of you. Appreciate it. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks.
bye,
Bye bye.
guys.
Have a good weekend.